I'll just get everyone to grab their seats and we'll get a start. Welcome to the Roxburgh Night Sportsman's Night with their special guest. Before I start, I'll hand over to your president who'd like to welcome you. So put your hands together for Jason, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, thanks Scott. As Scott said, just like to welcome everyone from the football club and outside the football club to the night with Dane Swan. Hopefully everyone behaves themselves and doesn't ask Swanee any silly questions either. Alright, but kick back. Later on through the night there'll be a memorabilia auction, so bit high, bit big, and also a silent auction on some of the items on the side. But I'm not going to hold it up, we'll get it going and look after Scott, the MC for the night, and enjoy the night. And again, thanks for everyone for turning up.
Alright, just a couple of things before I start. Like Jay said, there's a silent auction over there. Obviously, proceeds go to the club, so kick in and help your club. So they're all silent auctions along the wall there with the sheets. Just go along and write your bid and just write your mobile number next to it, your name and your mobile number. All the things you see along here, we'll do in a main auction with a break. So you know how the night works. We'll introduce our guests in a minute. We'll do a sort of formal interview. We'll go through sort of career highlights, etc. Then we'll have a break and we'll do the auction. And then we'll throw it open for questions and answers. So any question you want to ask, feel free. Then I'll make sure at the end, if you don't ask during it, just at the end, you can get something signed and get a photo, etc., etc. So just wait for all that stuff till the end. So any questions, just come and see me. We've got F+ credit card with a lot. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest. He's very close to his old stomping grounds. Three-time Copeland Trophy winner, Brownlow medalist, AFL MVP, 2010 Premiership player, multiple All-Australian, and the list goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, warm Roxburgh Park welcome to Dane Swan! This would be like coming home, wouldn't it?
I live in Paran now, so it's not like coming home. But I obviously grew up. My parents grew up in Broadie. I grew up in West Meadows, so I'm going back for a little. My nan just sort of sold her house in Broadie in Lehane Street, so everyone's in West Meadows now. But yeah, it's a little bit familiar to me.
Any tales of success at this venue, mate, over the years?
I don't think it would have been, for how long it's been around for, I don't think it would have been open when I was running around here as a kid. That was 15 years ago, so I don't know how long this has been here for, but not maybe the old Broadie, but not the Roxburgh Park Hotel.
I'd like to create some new history. Mate, just give us an update on how everything's going. Obviously, tragedy in the first round of the season, first game. It's a big pre-season, looking at $1 million, and then the foot goes, mate. So just bring us up to speed with where you're at with that, mate.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit fucked, but it's obviously not where I'd like it to be, but I could see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Like 6 weeks ago, I was thinking to myself how I'm ever going to walk again, let alone kick a footy, but slowly but surely it gets better and better every day. So I guess I'll can get out of this now and walk around, but when I'm in sort of public and especially if I go out a bit later, a few years, I'll probably want to wind this sign just in case. I'll go a bit later, but I started swimming yesterday, got on a bike yesterday and did the same today, so I can slowly move around. This will be off permanently by next week before I go away, and then probably get back into town for late June, and then I'll sort of start cranking it up and start moving and trying to walk properly is probably the first thing. So I still walk, even when I'm out of this, I walk with my foot pointed out, so I have no dorsiflexion in my foot, so I can't sort of go up on my toes. My foot will just crumble at the moment, so I sort of have to walk out like that. But obviously you want to get that fixed first and then slowly but surely try and build it up and start running and see how I go. But just first and foremost, just worried about trying to get my foot better for the rest of my life. I'm worried about playing a couple of games of footy, but But yeah, I can slowly see light at the end of the tunnel. Like, there's no way I'll kick a football right now. I feel like I'd smash it in half with all the screws and still in there. But it is certainly getting better. It's a lot better than what it was, a week ago and what it was 2 weeks ago. And the surgeon said it's healing as well as it possibly could. So that's a positive sign.
Good news, mate. Maybe just the people here, just fill them in going forward. I believe on the quad that you sort of had quite a positive meeting with Bucks. He's pretty keen for you to go on, and you're going to have a big say in where you go from here.
It's not very quiet, is it? Everyone knows about it. Bucks rang me up a couple of weeks ago and wanted to have a chat. So when the coach or the president or something rings and wants me to have a chat, usually I've done something wrong. So I had to start thinking what I've done wrong, what I was going to lie about. So we met over in Armidale and just had breakfast. It was a pretty positive chat. He sort of said that they'd like me to go on, they'd like me to play next year. And there was a couple of ifs and buts in there though. There was if I'm obviously 100% committed to playing, things like that, and if I can be a positive influence on the group. So I think I can be, and I'd love to play on again and play some good footy. It'd be a pretty ordinary way to go out and stab donuts in my last game, and I guess I touched it, I dropped the mark, but I'd like to go out and try and get a kick again at some stage and leave a bit better of an impression on the footy club than my last 30 seconds on the ground. So I'd like to go on, but in saying that, I want to make sure my foot's right. I'm not going to play another 25 games of footy just for the sake of playing it if it's going to fuck my foot up for the rest of my life. So a lot of water to go under the bridge, but it was really positive. We had a really good chat, and I walked away feeling really positive and happy that I was still wanted, which was great, because I could easily get rid of me. So, the last two games I played in the AFL, I tore my medial in the second last game against Geelong last year. Then the first game this year, obviously I broke half the bones in my leg. So it hasn't been a great last two games, but I'd like to get back and play some decent footy at some stage.
Well, maybe if we just go back to the beginning, a local boy, obviously playing at West Meadows, playing the Calder Cannons. Tell us how you got to Collingwood. Tell us the story of the draft and how you got there, mate.
I guess I never wanted to be drafted, or not that I never wanted to be, I never thought I'd be, so it wasn't on my list of priorities. I don't really know what I wanted to be honest, but I played at West Meadows, obviously just up the road, and then played 1 year at the Cannons, and I got dropped halfway through the year that I got drafted. So I got dropped at the Cannons for having a poor attitude and not really getting a kick halfway through the year. So come back into the side, was probably averaging 10 to 12 touches a game, maybe kicking a goal, pretty good side, just playing in the forward pocket. And then I got dropped for having a poor attitude and not getting a kick, and got to the end of the regular season, and Robert Holt was the coach of us, who won a best and fairest at Collingwood, so he had a Collingwood connection, and he got Mick down on the eve of the finals to come and speak to us. I didn't barrack for Collingwood, I barracked for Hawthorn as a kid, so if you don't barrack Collingwood, you hate them, and certainly Holt's no different. So I didn't have much time for Mick either. We used to get dinner after Thursday nights at the Cannons, and he was interrupting that. So most of it was going in one ear and out the other. The sort of one thing he said is how they recruit kids and how they judge kids, and he said, well, how you play on the big stage, and there's no big stage than final, so don't worry about what you've done in the regular season, just focus on your next month, and that's how you'll be judged. And I went from, we were a good side, we won the flag that year, I think we finished second, we ended up winning the flag. I went from having sort of 12 touches a game, kicking a goal, and 3 finals that we had, I averaged over 30, 10 goals in the 3 games, so fuck knows how I did that, but I did, and they were true to their word, they drafted me. And I guess the draft story is what you're alluding to. Because I never thought I'd be drafted, I was on schoolies when I got drafted up on the Gold Coast, and I guess you have to, the draft was on the Sunday, I flew up on the Saturday, I was meant to be there for a week, and you obviously have to plan schoolies a fair way out, as I guess most of you would know, and so I started planning it a fair way out. I think about year 8 is when I started planning it. It's about the only reason why I finished school school, so I could go to schoolies. So went to schoolies, got up there on the Saturday, drafted on the Sunday, and this was before. I can't remember how the draft was on. I don't even know if the internet was around in 2001, but this was before mobile phones with your smartphones with all your social media and stuff. I had a Nokia 3210. It'd be nice if I had that back. It would save me a couple of headaches a couple of months ago. Maybe get that phone back. So I can't remember how the draft was being ran, but I was at the pub on Queen Schoolies, obviously, and I remember my mate Kate texted me and told me I'd been drafted, and I was like, oh bullshit, I thought he was having a laugh because he knew I'd been on the piss and the draft. I knew the draft was on, but I wasn't paying attention. Then at the same time, I guess it showed how much faith Mum had in me to be drafted. So Eddie Maguire rang parents' house, and this is back when people had house phones. So they rang house phone, and my old girl answered, and Ed must have said something like, oh, congratulations, Mrs. Swan. Mrs. Swan, your son's just been drafted to the college, welcome to the family, or something like that. Mum obviously didn't have any faith in me, and so told Ed to piss off and hung up on him. She didn't believe it was Ed, so didn't believe it was Ed Maguire. I thought it was someone having a laugh, so I hung up on Ed. Then I'm assuming she rang back, Ed rang back, and then Mum probably realised and started bawling her eyes out. One of the first of many times Mum started crying about my antics in the next 15 years. So back to the draft. I ended up, Ross Monahan, the regional manager of the footy club, messaged me or rang me, and it finally sinks in that I've been drafted. And so I was meant to come home the next Saturday. The footy club called me, Maxie Kleiman rings me and just sort of said, mate, listen now, congrats on being drafted. We know you're in Queensland, enjoy the night. We booked your flight home tomorrow. So come in, grab all your shit, and then start the week off on Tuesday, whatever it is. And I'd obviously just been drafted, so start thinking like a professional athlete. So I declined to come home. I said no. They were silly enough to read my name out, so they had me for 2 years guaranteed, so another 5 days wasn't going to hurt. And I guess, for all you boys who've been to school, it's a pretty good time, and once all the girls find out you've been drafted, you go from here to here, so there's no way I was passing that up. So I stayed, but in the end I did come to a compromise. I was going to come home on Saturday. I decided to come home on Friday night. So, I thought that was a pretty good compromise by myself, but in the end I guess it was probably worse because I went to a school in a different suburb than West Meadows, so I got home and I hadn't seen my family either, so all my family were at home, and half the neighbourhood, friends I didn't know I had, I've got a lot of them now. But so I once again think like a professional athlete, I had to celebrate long and hard into the night with them, and into the next morning, I'll tell this one, into the next morning, so we had to be there, I think we had to be training at 8 a.m, just where we train now, actually we'll train doing a session there, but it wasn't a footy ground, we've got some running and some touch in the middle of the oval, in the middle of the running track, and when you're playing local footy, you start at 5, start at 6 or whatever, and as long as you sort of get there by the warm-up lap and you're having a stretch, that's as long as you get out there by that, that's kind of fine. For anyone that's going to play AFL, that doesn't fly at AFL level. Kind of learned that the hard way. So we have to be there at 8. I got there at 8. I didn't know if you have to be there if training starts at 8. You got to be there at 6:30 or 7. So I get there, and I'm late. I'm hungover. And I roll out onto the ground about 5-10 minutes past 8, and this is where my relationship with the Rat Pack started, I guess. So I roll out from there, I'm doing a lap, and Tunnel called them all in, who's been lately, who was assistant coach at the time, and just called us all in, and I think geographically I was the closest draftee to go to Collingwood, and I was the last player together. We had guys from Darwin, Richie Cole's from Darwin, Tristan Wood was from Perth, Tommy was from Geelong. I was 20 minutes up the road and I was the last to get there. But Tunnel just sort of said, mate, this is, I think I was our fourth or fifth pick that year. Instead of wanting to work on his AFL career, he's been up on school during the piss with his mates. And so I looked around, and guys like Bucks, Burnsy, Jimmy Clement, Tarkin, all these guys kind of looking at me disapprovingly and not really sure of me. And the other guys, like Dids, Jono, Tazza, Benny Canine, Dimmer, were all pissing themselves laughing, and they got around me, and that's why I didn't get a kick my first 3 years. So I hang around with them. I should hang around with the other guys.
All right, mate. Obviously, I think you said you started in the reserves, so couldn't go much lower, even on the bench for the reserves. Like you said, the first 3 years was tough, but suddenly you sort of broke open and started playing some really good footy. I mean, what was the impetus that made you sort of take it to the next level?
Yeah, you're right. My first game when I first started, started on the bench in the reserves, so out in Geelong on the not at Geelong's ground, on the one where you drive past on the side of the freeway. So things were looking up for me back then. But yeah, I had some great memories of those first 3 years, but none of them are football related. So as soon as I got drafted, I pretty much moved straight out of home. I never had a job before. My first contract was $36,000. Never that kind of money for me. Straight out of home, jumped in with a mate, spent every cent I had as soon as I got it. Was going out Thursday night, Friday night, playing football Saturday, and then going out Saturday night, Sunday night, and sleeping Monday to Wednesday. So, it's pretty funny to look at now. If you did that now with the way social media and phones and shit are, you'd be sat, 5 minutes. So I was very lucky that I started back when I did, because I wouldn't have lasted 6 months. So, but that was kind of the culture. Not everyone was doing it, but sort of the group I hang around with was doing it. So that's just what I fell into, and so I had a great 3 years. Like I said, I didn't play any good footy, but geez, I had a good time. Thankfully, I tried to get most of that in my system early. But so the thing that changed for me, I guess, is I got into a blue off the field and thought I was going to be sacked from the footy club. So for about 24 hours there, I thought I was done. And it's very cliche, but you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And every kid that gets drafted thinks he's going to play forever, make good money, and do what he likes. And I was the epitome of that. Didn't think I'd be drafted. I did, and I was like, fuck, I'm just going to live like a rock star. And I was a shitty footballer that no one knew anyway. So so I thought I was going to be sacked. So then it hit home. I was like, fuck, this football thing's actually a pretty good job. Some great perks to it. You play on the MCG in front of 80,000, every 60,000 every week. All great money, holidays, great lifestyle. It's all the positives that go with it. So I was like, this is all gone. I fucked it up. I had no other skills. I didn't really like school. Wasn't going to uni. No good at a trade. So fuck knows what I was going to do. I probably only on the wharf with my dad. That's probably what would have happened. But so about for the day there, I was pretty upset, thinking I was going to be sacked. But then we get into the footy club, and all the sort of power brokers of the footy club are sitting around the desk. It's me, my old man, and my manager, ready to cop the what I'm about to cop, and everyone sort of took their turns in telling me what they thought of me, and I must have been very nice by then, because there wasn't so many positives coming back at me. But then Mick just sort of said, listen, you fucked up, but we're not going to ruin your career on one blue or one stuff up. So this is your last chance. But I've since been proving him wrong. I've had more than one more chance. So he was lying to me. So that was the sort of the catalyst. I was like, all right, well, let me, try and have a go at this thing. And the two guys that I couldn't have done it without Benny Johnson and Chris Tarrant. Without them two, there's no way I'll be standing here today. Jono grabbed me on the running track during training, said run with me for as long as you can. Once you drop off, you drop off. You ask anyone who's been in Collingwood over his era, I will tell you he's one of the hardest workers on the track. So as much as I hated it, he'd get angry at me and get aggressive with me if I couldn't be bothered, but I'd have to stick with him for as long as I could and drop off and try to chase him. So he showed me the work ethic that was needed on the track. And for those who do know Ben, or ask about him, he's never lifted a weight in his life unless it's 2 months before summer. That's it. So when he was he wouldn't do weights if he was flirting with all the birds in admin. And I guess those who know Chris Tanner knows what he looks like. He's got a decent rig. So I jumped in the weight room with him, and I couldn't lift like him, but I just paired up with him and did all the weights that he did and all the extras and stuff like that he was doing. So they were the two guys that showed me the work rate that was needed. And I guess for all the preconceived negative connotations that the Rat Pack has, it was just a group of guys who wanted to go, cause trouble or whatever, drink piss and sort of not follow the rules. We actually, we are really good mates and cared for each other. They could have quite easily said, oh no, if he's not playing, it's going to be more time for him to come out with us. But they've seen something in me, wanted me to play good footy. So there's no doubt without those two, I wouldn't be here.
Great story, and still good mates to today. Mate, just fast forward a bit, obviously started to play some solid footy. You started off in the back five, you eventually moved up, played on the ball, had a surprising result in the Brownlow 1 year. Mate, let's go forward to 2010. Obviously, the pinnacle for Collingwood supporters, winning the premiership that year. I remember early on, the two top sides from the previous year, Geelong and St Kilda, beat us reasonably comfortably earlier in the year. At what stage during the year did you really start, as a group, to believe that you could win it?
Well, we always thought we could win it. I think that was the year that Nick Maxwell came out and publicly stated that we wanted, our goal was to win the premiership, and then he sort of got shit camped a little bit. But I think I was in the leadership group back then, so we had a chat about it, and why not state it publicly? Obviously it doesn't look great now, but Collingwood attempt to play finals and challenge for a premiership every year. It obviously hasn't been great the last few years, but that was the start of it. We were like, let's just put it out there publicly and see how we go. So we thought we had the side to do it. Like you said, we got beat by Geelong and Saints early in the year, but then we sort of turned the tables on them and beat them. They really got our momentum up. But when I kind of knew, probably after the first quarter of the prelim against Geelong, that was probably the best quarter of footy we played. Even though, especially during the drawn granny, bounce that ball goes the other way. But I think we were clearly the dominant side. So we had a huge belief that we were going to win it no matter what.
After the draw, obviously, very hard emotionally to know how to react to that. But obviously the Pies bounced back, a lot better than what the Saints did. Any reason for that you can put your finger on?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess. So after the game, I don't think that, from what I hear, the Saints. So we had, when you go to when you have the grand final, you obviously have grand final dinners and stuff like that. So I bought 3 tables for all my mates. So I'm paying me back, so I can buy the next 3 the next week. It cost me a fortune. So after the draw happens, then the sewage is leaking. So in the rooms where we had the sewage leak, so we couldn't go get our bags for like an hour and a half. So we had to go across to the southern stand rooms, the old school ones. So I was sitting around there, sort of kicking rocks and in your own little groups, sort of half got the shits, not really knowing what to do. A lot of us had to rebook flights as we were flying out to LA the day of the replay. So talking about what we're going to do there and stuff like that. So just kind of kicking rocks and just complaining really that we had to come back the next week, because after the grand final, that's the end of the year. You got everything set up, and everyone, the boys had all their plans in place for that week for the partying and the carry on and all the things that they were going to do. So it was a bit, heads were down, and it was a bit of a carry on in the room. But then I guess Maxie walked in, and the way he flipped it, I guess, I can't tell you what St Kilda did, but he walked in and he was acting like we just won the prelim. So he walked in and sort of started cutting everyone down. So boys, how awesome is this? We've got a chance to play in the grand final next week. Start to get excited and motivated, because we're all just, sitting down, just in the shits a little bit, complaining. So he just got around everyone and sort of lifted the group a little bit. And then from then on, that just started the cycle. Mick said, all right, go back back to the grand final dinners. So and the Saints, I hope the Saints didn't. The Saints went straight back to recovery. We went to the grand final dinner, sat down, had a feed, and pissed off back to the footy club for rehab. And the next day we all walked in and so that our mentality was switched from like, we've got to come back again, what a pain in the arse this is, to we've got a chance to win a premiership here, so let's give it 6 more days and see what we can do. So that might have helped 1%, might help 10%, might not help at all, but that's one little thing that might have helped. And I can't tell you what the Saints did or how the Saints were feeling, because I clearly don't play for the Saints or was in their camp that week, so I'm not sure how they handled it, but that's sort of how we handled it.
So mate, for people, I don't know if anyone's played a grand final or a premiership here, but at the highest level, give us a bit of an insight what it's like. I mean, you're running around, obviously, you're 58 points up or whatever in the last quarter. You're running around, like you said, with some of your best mates out there. Peter, Dids, Jono, they're all out there. What's it like knowing you're going to win a premiership with some special mates? There's 100,000 people there. You've come up with the draw the previous week. What's it feel like? Tell us what it's like emotionally to be out there.
Well, to be honest, I know a few boys that won a premiership, but it's probably not too dissimilar. Just that I happen to play at the highest level. Everything you do from day one pre-season, I'm sure it's like you boys. Everything you do from day one. I think Luke Ball coined a phrase early in pre-season, which is something we tried to live by that year. He just sort of said, I think one of us sort of fucked up outside of the footy club, and we had a big meeting. Paul, he just sort of said, boys, just for this next 8 months or whatever it is, just every decision you make, just have a think, is it taking you closer to a premiership or further away? So that's what, Mick loved it, so he said it every 15 minutes. It felt like for 6 months, but so that was the kind of ethos that we had in that premiership year was, and obviously we made some decisions on Saturday nights that would probably take us a bit further away, but on the whole of things, we tried to make the decisions that were right for winning the premiership. So that's kind of what we, that's kind of how we valued the year and how we went about it. But yeah, like I said, how it felt. You work so hard. Everything you do, every game you play, every lap you run, every ball you kick is a combination of playing the final siren and the carry on. So I guess the initial feeling for me was, or for the, I don't know, I can't speak for anyone else, was probably relief. Just seeing it's finally happened. The draws happened. We've had prelims. We got beat by Geelong in 07 in a prelim by 5 points. We've had they played finals for the last 6 years. And nearly got fifth the week before. So initially it's just relief. I think you see Luke Ball, with his hands on his head after the sign line. I think feel that emotion or that face sums up like you can just sort of exhale, just breathe out, because you're so wound up for 10 months of the year that you don't really have time to sit back and relax. So final sign goes, and you obviously just exhale, relief, and then it's like every other supporter that was in the stands or at a barbecue at home, just joy and just playing carry on and grab the closest bloke to you in your mug and just it's very hard to. I'm feeling that I haven't found a word to describe it yet. There hasn't been one invented, I don't think, because it's a pretty amazing feeling, pretty special feeling, and I hope that all the Collingwood supporters here felt as happy as we did that day.
We do it again soon, mate. Just quickly, maybe sum up. I mean, that year, obviously, Brownlow medal favourite, grand final, the Monday of the first grand final week, didn't go as planned. The next year it did. Just quickly summarise the sort of 2 years of the Brownlow, the 2010-2011 Brownlow.
Oh well, Brownlow's a nightmare. Brownlow is the worst night in the calendar, unless you win it. So, but one good night, that was about it. It's quite a painful night. I keep declining to go, but they keep making me decline me 10,000. They said. I didn't go 2 years ago. I got tattooed instead. They said last year, if you don't go next year, we're going to fine you 10 grand. So I was like, I'll be there. I left halfway through. AFL. I left halfway through. Sure, Mrs. wasn't happy. I only take her. But yeah, so I guess the two completely different feelings. 2010, I was the red hot favourite. I was short. I was $1.40, I think. $1.45. So I apologise for anyone backing me that short. But I hope you got your money back the next year at 15s. So yeah, as much as people don't say, if you ask them, I don't know who's your favourite this year, Dangerfield or something, maybe, no, I'm not thinking about it, or it doesn't mean anything. You say all that too, but because we were still playing footy after the regular season ended, everywhere you went, I was being told, it's yours, you're immoral. So I won every other award that year bar that one. So lucky I was probably still playing footy because you didn't have time to sit back and think about it. But every now and then you probably let yourself drift off and think, I could be a Brownlow medalist. But a footy club's a pretty good levelers, and you get put back into place pretty quickly, especially at our one. So you go there try to go with no expectation on the red carpet and all that stuff, and everyone wants to interview you because everyone thinks you're going to win it. So how are you feeling all that? And you try and say all the right things. Yeah, no, not too bad. Hope for a good night, all the kind of shit. But inside you're pretty nervous. And but my nerves went away pretty quickly because Judd missed the first 3, then pulled 5 best times in a row, so I was over really quickly. But I guess the annoying thing was I still had 1,000 cameras in front of me here, and every time I didn't get a vote, the camera was on me, and then it was like I didn't really know what face to make. Whether I looked like I had the shits, or looked like I was happy for Judd, or just looked really confused. But, so we got out of that. That was a painful night pretty quickly. I guess, I was jinxed, I must admit. There was 3 reasons. The first was I never make a speech. I never write notes, or if I have to make a speech or anything like that, I just wing it, and whatever comes out, comes out. So the footy club asked me, have you got a speech for when you win the Brownlow? So that was the first give. I was like, no, if I happen to win, I'll get up there and make something up. And they were like, no, we need you to thank these people and stuff like that. So they wrote me a speech the week before I went, and then they said, oh yeah, also we've booked your family and friends a room at the casino, so when you win it, they'll already be there, so you can see them. I was like, beauty. Mum still hasn't left. There's going to be a huge bill. Mum still hasn't left. And then the third one, which is the most embarrassing. So I'm sitting down at the table, and the bird comes over and taps me on the shoulder, and just said, yeah, hey Dane. Channel 7's Channel 7 broadcasting, or whatever it was. As the curtain raises for the telecast at 8:30 or something, the 5 favourites are going to get up, walk up on the stage, and Bruce or something was going to, is it going to be Swan or Judd? Something along those lines. She said, well, all the 4 other favourites have agreed to it, and you're the last one. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm the red-hot favourite. I'm going to look like an arrogant dickhead if I say no. So I was like, yeah, if everyone else is doing it, I'll do it, no worries. She goes, yes, well, I'll just grab you up 30 seconds before you spot. No worries. So she comes and grabs me, 8:29 or whatever it was, and she pulls me into my mark, and I was like, where's everyone out? She's like, everyone else has pulled out, it's just you. So for the time I turned to look around, she pushed me up on the stage. I don't know if you can watch the telecast, but you can see me, and I walk up on the stage on my own, and I could just hear everyone going, what is he doing? And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing up here? This is fucking so embarrassing. And then, so I scurried off stage, and obviously didn't get a vote, and so they cost me. But then the next year they did that for Pendles. They wrote him a note, sent his family at the casino, so they jinxed him. I think he was a favourite. But obviously the next year, obviously I had no expectations. I thought if I wasn't going to win it, when I think I averaged 35 and kicked 35 goals that year. So I was not going to win it then, certainly not going to win it this year. So I went in with no expectations. We're playing the granny anyway, so I just wanted to get in and get out. And they say, I've heard people say, it's not the votes that you expect to get that wins your Brownlow, it's the votes that you don't expect. If you can wrap your head around that. So I think it was round 2 or round 3. I think I had 21 or 22. Didn't kick a goal. We played the Bulldogs and we won. There was about 5 or 6 blokes who had more than me for us, more goals, everything. So, and at the Brownlow, there's you get a big pamphlet with the top 20 favourites, and it goes through your games like hot, not, a little explanation, big chance for 3, or no good here, others better, all the way along, stuff like that. And I was not likely, others better, and I polled 2 votes. And then I remember clearly Nick Maxwell sitting next to me, and he just went, bang, he goes, you're home. I go, mate, it's round 2, I've got 5 votes. He goes, mate, you're home, you're immoral. So he banged me there. It was round 2, and sure enough, then my phone started going berserk. I reckon I had 150 messages in an hour. Phone went flat in half an hour, and then obviously I won it. So yeah.
Do you know what the medal is now?
Yeah, I got asked that the other day. Old mate borrowed it for a while. I swapped it for his bleeding goal kicker medal in the Frosty Miller medal. I swapped it with him for a while. I don't even know he had it, and then he rang me, well, not the other day, maybe a few months ago, 6 months ago, someone said, "Man, I'll come around and drop that medal back off." I don't even know he had it. I was like, okay, no worries. So I found it the other day because we just hired a cleaner and had to move it. So yeah, it's just sitting behind my bed with the 2 Anzac Day medals. They're the only medals I've got at home. The rest of them are parents.
Maybe just one final question before we have a break, and then we'll throw it open and ask whatever questions you like. Mate, obviously, you know, we're 10th or 11th on the ladder.
You're
getting them for free, mate, so if you pay for it, you just got stitched up. Mate, obviously we've got a good young list. You know, some really good talent there. I know that, you know, the club and a lot of the players believe we're in that premiership window. And obviously, you know, there's been some good performances, but there's been some ordinary ones as well. I mean, where do you see the list at? I mean, are we close? I mean, how far away do you think we are?
Well, it would be nice if we could play with a full list at some stage. That would be nice, but I don't think we're too far away. I think it's a very even competition this year. I thought Hawthorn were probably going to win it again at the start of the year, but they don't look super invincible either. So you probably want to win one in the next couple of years before GWS start winning them all. But it's really even. You know, that's halfway. You know, sit round 6. You probably think Geelong are going to win it, and they won today. But you know, so if you do the math, we beat them, so they beat GWS. So
in the Blues.
Well, yeah, Carlton. So it's a very even side, a very even comp, I think. So I think we've just got to sneak ourselves into the A, which is going to be really hard now. Where we've lost, you know, me, Jamie, Faz, and Darcy were, you know, and Trav's back in this week, but he hasn't been playing. That was, you know, start of the year, you pencil in your forward line. That's probably the first. That's our first 5 picks. I was going to move forward this year. So, you know, that's your 5 forwards, and you play Blairy or, you know, another rotating mid through there, you know, Trelaw or something like that. So, and then once they come in, it helps the midfield, the depth, helps the midfield depth, because I can go through the midfield. You can bring Steele up, you know, that means Levi and Geordie, Crispy, you know, they don't have to shoulder so much of the load on the in the midfield. They can go into a wing, they can do a different role for us. So it's kind of a bit of a domino effect with this, and you know, our backs, you know, our small backs have all been hurt. We miss Marley's agility and run. Jackson Ramsey was starting to find his feet. He's hurt. He's done his knee. Scharenberg did his knee. So there's, you know, injuries. You don't like to use injuries as an excuse. You never say it to media, but they are, and it's a pretty big excuse. You know, we've got probably 8 of our genuine best 15 out, and how even the league is these days. It's very hard to win. But in saying that, we showed some really good form over the last 3 weeks. We're going to beat the Bulldogs if we didn't, you know, have 4 injuries. So that really hurt us. But I mean, I honestly don't think we're too far away. The other thing I think is with all the sort of senior, more established guys that have been hurt, all these young kids come in, and it takes a while to gel as a team. Like me and Pennells have played, you know, 250 games here or something. I know exactly what he's going to do and where he's going to do, how he's going to turn, when he, you know, how he's going to, when he gets it out of a pack, which way he steps, which way he balks someone, and then I can run into that spot and he'll give it to me, and vice versa. He knows how I play, he knows how I run, he knows like when I've got the ball on the wing, like what my preferred kick is, so he pops into space, stuff like that. So, you know, you've got to play games together, and then you start to gel as a side. You know, with Trelaw coming in as a mid who no one had played with before, no one knew sort of how he played and stuff like that. So it did take a while. So I think it took probably the first 7-8 games to really gel as a side. And Pennell's had broken ribs and, you know, a sore hammy and stuff the first 6 weeks. So he's only just starting to come good now. So I think we'll see a very, very much improved Collingwood side over the next 12 weeks or whatever it is. Now, can we play finals? It's going to be really hard with our 3 best forwards out, 4 best forwards out now, and I'd love to try to come in and kick 6 tomorrow. It'd be awesome, but he just got to come in and play a role. But if we can sneak back into finals, well, hopefully I'll be there. But I honestly don't think we're too far away. We certainly need some luck. Reedy's played 10 games in 3 years, so he's going to get better with every game he plays. I think they always said 2016, 2017 was going to be when we started to do it, and I don't think they're wrong.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dane Swan. We'll just have a short break. Maybe if you want to go to the bar or smoke, go to the toilet or something, I'll come back and we'll do the auction. And after that, we'll do questions and answers. Don't forget the silent auction over there. So we'll get back to the auction in about 5 minutes. So have a quick break and then we'll get back into it.
Get a beer into you, Swanee! He's got one beer.
Welcome back to the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Dane Swan.
Swanee! Star Swanee!
Alright, so how this works, if you've got a question, stick your hand up and the floor's yours. Alright, who'd like to start? First question?
Star Swanee!
Yes, mate. Yell it out. Bit of quiet, guys, please.
It's my career over. I don't know, mate, to be honest. If I knew, I wouldn't be telling you anyway, so... I honestly don't know. I'd like to play again, but I'm not going to risk ruining my foot to play another 20 games of footy, so I'm going to have complications with my foot either way. Pardon? No, not really. They've actually been really good. I've actually been surprised at how good they've actually been with me. I kind of just sort of do what I like at the minute. Pardon? Well, they want me to play on, so if I think I'm good to play, I'll sign tomorrow. It's just that whether I think that I can play on, so I won't know till probably August, and I guess I'll probably know August once I can start running around and see if I can kick a footy and stuff like that. Have some meetings with the surgeons and the people whose opinion I care about, and then we'll go from there.
What's your hand up?
Got another question there? Yes, mate.
Is that me?
Yep, Judy.
Dan, it's half-time in 2010 in the replay. St Kilda 1-9 and we've kicked 5 goals. What was mixed message? Because even then it was looking like we were dominating, but the third quarter we just seemed to go up a gear and get 5 or 6. It was a beautiful... What was mixed words at half-time?
In the replay?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, you're stretching the memory now. I think it was, from I'll be half guessing here, just more along the lines of just sort of keep doing what we were doing. We were playing some pretty good footy, and Heath Shaw's smothered with Millennium, we knew we were going to win it anyway. And I guess we knew, I think we were winning at half-time in the game in the week before, so it was not to drop off and keep the intensity that we had the first half up, because we knew they'd try and come back and they'd have to raise their effort. So it was more just keep doing what we're doing, and let's try and put them away in this third quarter so we can enjoy the last quarter.
Good answer. Another question? Yes, mate.
Any good footy trip stories?
Yeah, none for you. I do have some, yeah.
Limo.
The limo's not a very good one, it's just my mate stole limo. But to be honest, I'm actually writing a book at the moment, and I'll actually try to think of some way. I'm sure I have got a couple, but none of the ladies and young kids here, mate, so there's enough for their ears.
Just hit him.
Yes, mate.
How hard was your party after 2-10?
Yeah, pretty hard, mate. I only finished 3 months ago. That's why we have one of them. Yeah, reasonably hard, but just like any end of year, there's only so much partying you can do. You can't go any harder than as hard as you can go, can you? So that's what happens usually most of every season. But there was obviously a much better reason. It was more of a celebration than just drinking for the sake of because your season's ended. But yeah, that was a pretty fun time.
Yes, mate.
Your dad, you played in the VFA, and you're a good player.
Yep.
Just one other comparison between yourself and your dad. VFA versus VFL, AFL.
My comparison between me and my man was in football-wise. I'm a lot taller. I would say he's a better runner, better kick, and I'm a better mark and faster. So that was. We both obviously had a pretty good ability to get the footy. So I guess that would cancel each other out. I'm a better mark over my head, and I'm a lot quicker than Dad. Dad could run a lot fitter than me, could run all day. Probably still is fitter than me, and was a better kick. So that's probably the difference. I don't know where I got my height from. Dad's a midget.
Another question after, what have you like this, mate?
Young guys here, they get drafted. What's the best advice you give them to get started up?
Young boys, if they get drafted, don't get caught fucking up. That's no, if they get drafted, it's just there's no real secret to playing AFL. If you're good enough to get spotted, there's obviously some kids that probably are good enough playing locally that have an opportunity to not very good football playing in the AFL, but just work hard, work on your craft. You got to be able to play AFL these days. You got to be fast, you got to be fit, you got to be able to use both sides of your body. You got to be able to play multiple positions with the rotation. So you can't just be a midfielder because you need to have spend time forward. So you need to be able to learn to kick goals. You need to be able to learn to mark over the head. Then some mids go back, so you need to be able to learn to defend, play off half back, read the ball well. So you need to be able to play multiple positions, play in the AFL these days. And if you can't, you get left out for blokes who can play because you rotate all over the ground these days. So there's no secret. It's just work hard, and I guess listen to your coaches is one thing I struggle with because I thought, I've come to understand that coaches actually want the best out of you. They're not trying to make you a worse player or make the team worse, and even though you might think that, which I probably did at some stage. So they're only trying to make you better. So so there's no secret, but just work hard and practice, because if you're borderline, it's those extra hours spent handballing on your opposite hand or kicking on your left or kicking on your right or overhead marking and stuff like that. So it's just practice. There's no secret.
Another question?
My personal opinion on the transition from Mick to Bucks. Well, I'm writing a book, so you'll have to read that and find out. Well, obviously people, I may talk about it for an hour, but in short, clearly, different people wanted different things, but there was never a knock on Bucks. It was never that we didn't like Bucks or we hated him. It was just that Mick had taken us to a premiership, just let this play out, and then we're happy to have Bucks. That was pretty much it. There was no, we don't like Bucks. We do, and he's hopefully he becomes a very good coach for us. But the transition was pretty tricky. You could speak about it all day, but in the end, different people had different opinions. It was more kind of like the older guys who sort of got away with a lot more with Mick, probably wanted him more, whereas the young guys who didn't really know how to take Mick and didn't like Mick obviously wanted Bucks. And the two biggest differences between them are, without going into X's and O's and sort of game plans and all that kind of shit, Mick was a results-driven guy. So if you played well on Saturday, you could sort of do what you wanted during the week, as long as you played well on the weekend and you performed. He was like, well, you're playing well. If you want to go out and have a beer, go ahead. If you, like Jono, if you don't want to do weights, like Mick would come into the weight room. Where's Jono? Jono would give him a thumbs up through the window in the admin, just doing nothing, and he'd just laugh and wouldn't care that he's not doing weights, because he knew what he needed to play well. But obviously, if you formed it well, I can tell you no on certain terms, and you need to pull your finger out, and those luxuries that you were afforded would be pulled right back. Where Bucks is, and that's more to what every coach is these days. The way that modern day football is, it's all about process. Where, all right, everyone has to do everything right Monday, everyone has to do everything right Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to give you the best chance to play your best footy on the weekend. And that's clearly the biggest difference. But I would argue that every coach in the AFL will be like that now, just because of how big the game is, and how much they care about their personal brand and how much they best sponsors and shit like that. So that's just the easiest way I can explain the big difference between them.
Another question?
Had a new photo come out in the media.
Well, I fucking put it out there, did I?
eh?
Yep.
You would have had, you guys would have had some fearful sprays over the time because Mick wasn't known for sort of, you know, Mick and Bucks aren't known for sort of keeping their opinions quiet. Is there any particular bake that you remember, not even just for what was said or how it affected? Was there any particular bake after a loss that you sort of went, yeah, that did have an effect on me, I got us to play better, or?
Bucks is actually pretty reserved. He holds himself together really well, and you see him going off in the box and stuff, hitting the table and stuff like that. But when he actually gets down to the boys, he's actually pretty reserved. Well, not reserved, but he actually doesn't let fly with abuse as much. He's really calm and collected and gets his point across. Where Mick was the complete opposite. Mick would walk in at half time or something, and he just like he'd transform, he'd lose it, and his eyes would glaze over, and he'd smash a wall and start getting real personal. And he knew he would have been it, but he'd just go off his tits, and he wouldn't even remember what he'd said half the time. But he did say quite a lot of funny things. That's just stuff that he wouldn't like. He said to Dorsey one day, Dorsey, what are you doing? And he was like, fuck all, Mick. And he's like, you're not doing fuck all, you're doing fuck all. Things like that. He called Sharrod the fifth Beatle one day. It was a week I went to Arizona and Sharrod had his best game for the club, had like 40 or something, and played really well. Then I come back into the side and we played in Sydney the next week. And Sharrod wasn't having a kick or something like that, and at half time he called Sharrod. He goes, does anyone know who the fifth Beatle? He asked Sharrod if he knew who the fifth Beatle was. And I said no, and he's like, fucking let's you, Sharrod. Fucking, as soon as everyone comes back, sort of no one gives a fuck about you and no one knows who you are. Went off. There was a few off. There was actually, well, the last one, I've got a heap of them, but there's two more I'll tell you that I remember off the top of my head. Apparently Tristan Walker was on the ground. Tristan Walker, he got drafted in my year. Text, yeah, he was playing, and the message, man, to text something, and text sent a message back to me, he needs to come off because he's got cramp. And apparently the thing went up to Mickey and he's like that. Apparently he threw his headset down and goes, that's it, fucking stop the game, she's got a cramp, get her off. And then the last one was Shannon Cox, blast from the past. He got dragged, he got taken off, and he had the cams on. And Mick was like, can you hear me, Coxie? He's like, nah, Mick, I can't hear you. He's like, can you hear me? Kept going. Mate, Mick, I can't hear. What's going on? And then got Mick's going off. Can you fucking hear me, Mick? Can you hear me, Coxie? Nah. He goes, well, can you hear this? I'm going to come down there and kick your fucking head clean off your shoulders. Can you hear that? So, that's what Mick was like. Mick would just go off his head, and then but then Monday he'd laugh about it. Like he'd come up and give you a show and go, did you like that one? Did you like that one? So yeah, Mick would go. He's a very, very scary man, but he could make you laugh too with some outrageous sprays.
I'll ask a couple, so give you time to load them up. So load them up.
There you go.
Mate, every club's got personalities. Mate, who'd be the tightest ass that you play with at Collingwood? Who's the tightest bloke there?
Mick's not there anymore. Mick was a beauty. He was by far and away the tightest man I've ever met in my life. He got a receipt for a bag of ice one day, and not the drug, the actual bag of ice. $3.50. He took it to the footy club to get a receipt on tax. He bought a t-shirt for his son in Arizona 1 year, didn't fit, kept it a whole year, and told Louis McKenna to exchange it the next year. And the stories go on and on with him. He was a beauty. Player-wise, yeah, they say Reedy's a tight ass, never carries his wallet. A lot of the young kids are, like Scharenberg, Jordan DeGoey, Braden Maynard. A lot of the young boys are really tight with their money, so I've heard. I don't see them socially, but that's what I hear.
What about the biggest pest? Who drives you mad amongst the playing group?
Faz annoys me. No, he doesn't annoy me, but when he speaks about himself in the third person, kind of shits me a little bit when he calls himself Fazzy. He calls himself the Prince of Perth too, which annoys me. But I like Faz, he's good value, but that could annoy me. Cito all season was pretty annoying. He just wouldn't shut up, but he's actually good bloke. No one really shits me. There's one or two, but I'm never going to tell you who they are. But yeah, they annoy me, but they're not annoying. I just don't like them.
Last one before I throw it back. Mate, intimidation's a big thing in footy. Who would be your most intimidating teammate in the shower?
Timmy.
Probably Brody. Yeah, Marley, Witsy, the big boys.
Yourself, mate?
Yeah, close fourth, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's probably your three. Probably name them in a line-out, yeah. Probably.
All right. Yes, mate.
How early do blokes like yourself find out about trade like Ed Shaw?
How early?
Yeah, how early do you find out the trade's going to happen?
Well, I guess if you make, like all obviously we're pretty tired with Ethan. I'll see him in a couple of hours, but so we knew that he was going from as soon as the season ended. We knew that he just wasn't seeing on or the club he was going to go. Now where he was, I think he had about 4 clubs, so he obviously told us that he was going no matter what. Now where he was going, we didn't really know until it just kind of happened, and then he sort of just sent a group text out to his coach mates saying, boys, this is what the deal is. So you kind of know. I knew Beamsy was going halfway through the year. I sat next to him like sort of every meeting for lunch, and then I knew he was out. So when they're close mates, because they'll tell you something, I've fucking had enough of this, or they're offering me 400 more a year, and you'd be mad not to go the money they offered those boys. You'd be silly not to go, but as in, like, if just a random bloke I trade, I will know when I'm internet or when you get a message and stuff, so it's not like the club inform you before it unless you're actually mates with them. You'll find out from the player if you're mates with them, but if, I don't know, if one of the young kids gets traded who you don't really speak to, you only find out in the paper a couple of days later. I'm travelling overseas usually when the trade week's on, so every now and then I'll pop up the internet and have a look at the AFL website to see what's going on, so probably then.
We'll give the silent auction 10 more minutes, so if you want to bid on the silent auction, you've got 10 minutes. Yes, mate. You next.
What was it like to kick that goal with that new line round 6?
Anzac Day. Well, it was a fluke. That's what it was. I was actually meant to dribble along the ground, but it hit me shin and it swerved in. That was a good pick here. Well, that was a pretty good day. That was one of my better days, or my favourite days, because my body was really letting me down that year, 2014, and I was getting smashed everywhere in the media, at the footy club. I wasn't really telling the footy club how sore I was and what was actually wrong with me, because I just thought I'm better than one of the young kids coming in, I can contribute more. So to play really well on that day and to kick that goal, which is, I don't kick many good goals, I don't take many good marks, I was sort of just a normal footballer, but yeah, that one was pretty special, especially at the time of the game and stuff like that. To kick that one through, was pretty awesome, and it was a good photo of me kicking and then all the crowd going berserk, sort of in front of me. It's a pretty special feeling. There's no better day than Anzac Day. Grand Final Day is just a lot of corporate people, but obviously you'd rather play on Grand Final Day because of actually what it means to win a premiership. But apart from that, my Anzac Day is by far and away the best day of the year. It's an amazing day, and the ceremony and stuff before it, to play on a day which is so special for all Australians, and to give back a little bit. And people compare footy to war all the time and say you die for us, and it's fucking ridiculous. Like, there's no way. I don't even want to break my foot for my team when I did, so it's a very, very special day, and I'm very humbled and honoured to have won 2 medals. So that's probably the only game I've missed this year is that one. To miss playing is sitting there, and it was a beautiful day, and the actual weather was amazing, and it's the last post net going to be able to. I actually didn't go because my foot was fucked, but to sit around and that's the one day of the year where you think I'd love to be out there, and I think I'll always, no matter if I play again or not, that's the one day where you think, geez, I'd love to be out there.
Got a quick two-parter. Two-parter. What's the hour
style now. It's running my tattoo shop. It's now called Renegade Art Society. What's the going rate? Depends who you get tattooed by. It's usually about 150, 160. I get it for free. That's what I bought in all. But you actually see them all. Well, you've probably just about seen them all. I've got kind of everywhere. Seen most of them. Yeah, no worries.
How's rap bag going?
Yeah, rap bag and clothing label's going well. We just dropped winter, so it's going good. It's something I'm going to Bali next week. So I'll do a bit more work with it over there in the factory, but it's going well. Something I enjoy. It keeps me sane, and I do like the fashion side of it. I like designing stuff and that. So yeah, I think it's going well. It gets better and better every range when we learn from our mistakes and get better and better, get more well equipped. But yeah, it's going well and it's only going to get better.
Yes, Michelle?
Who's the next up-and-coming players to watch out for?
The Pies, without naming the guys who are already playing like Geordie and Das and that, I think Tim Broomhead's going to be the best young player we've got. He's pretty lazy and he doesn't give a fuck about a lot, so if he can sort of fix that, so he needs to be not like me, but if he can figure that out, he's going to be a star. Well, I think he'll be the best young player under 21, 22 we've got. He's got everything. He's super clean, doesn't miss targets, can find it. It's just they're on him a lot about his work ethic and his laziness. He's not lazy, just he's real laconic and just floats around the club like he doesn't care, which he probably doesn't. But I think he's the best young kid that I've seen at the footy club. Guys that haven't really played. Apparently Rupert Wills got drafted this year. Derek Hines said he would have won the Rising Star this year if he hadn't got hurt. So he's got Pendle's height, built not as build and ripped as Pendle's, but that kind of build. Midfielder can run, can sort of do it all, I think. Him, I'm trying to think of guys who haven't played yet. The young kids I don't know a lot apart from Rupert, the young kids I don't know a lot about because I'm only in there doing rehab, so I don't really see a lot of these first year players. Sharonberg was apparently the best young Cole the Scout said he was the best young footballer they've ever seen, including the Duck. So he must have had some ability. But the one risk with him, which everyone knew, was his body, and unfortunately he's let him down so far. So that's the one big risk with him, whether his body can hold up. So hopefully it does, because they've put a lot of time into him, and he's one bloke that works really hard. He works as hard as anyone. So hopefully he can come back and play some good footy. And I think Marley should be an all-Australian defender at some stage. He's as hard as Kat said, as hard as anyone. He's got unbelievable agility. He tackles hard. He uses the ball really well. So there's some guys that haven't really played a lot of footy. Apart from Darcy's going to be a star. We all know that. Geordie to go, he's going to be our best midfielder in 5 or 6 years. But they're obvious ones.
Which AFL player do you hate playing against?
I don't really hate playing against. No, I don't really hate playing against anyone. We obviously hate Carlton, Essendon, and Richmond, but we love playing against. You play in front of 80,000, and they're massive rivalries. So, as in individual players, the one bloke got in. Valentine doesn't annoy me because I don't play on him. He plays up the other end, and Tazza said he's a good bloke. He's a good dude when Tazza was a Freo. So, one guy I didn't like was Clint Jones. I don't know why. He just had one of those heads. I'm sure he was a lovely guy, but he just had a head that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. He was one guy. No, so it was alright. It doesn't bother me. Good player.
Trophy there next year.
Travaco, yeah, I think so. I actually don't know. Well, I reckon it'll depend on how he goes. I reckon if he stays in for the rest of the year, plays good footy, I reckon he'll stay. I reckon if they drop him again, I reckon we might struggle to keep him. But it'd be sad to see him go. He's played 12, 13 years in the footy club. He's been a star for us. He's obviously his last 18 months ain't been very good, but you know, I hope if anyone plays well tomorrow, I hope it's him. They've made him earn it. I thought I'd give him 1 week. It was probably coming that he needed to be dropped, like sort of everyone's sort of seen it. Maybe give him a week and then bring him back up. So mate, they cop it, but they put him in there for 4 or 5 weeks and he wouldn't have got in unless Darcy and that got hurt. So they made him earn it. So he wasn't very happy, but hopefully he plays well and stays in the side. Because if he stays in and plays some decent footy, I think he'll stay.
So is he shitty at the club?
I haven't asked him that directly. I think he was shitty in general, probably with himself, with the club for not playing him. But I don't think if you're not shitty, I can't say you probably shouldn't be playing. If you haven't got the shit, so you're not playing AFL when you're on 800 a year, you should be a power forward. If you're not caring, well, you shouldn't be at the club anyway. So of course he should care. And if he hasn't, and I would expect you to have the shits. If they drop me, I'd have the shits too. So yeah, I would certainly hope he'd be shitty, but I would hope he could understand maybe the first week, because I think we all knew it was coming. Like he was going nowhere and he was really battling. I would have thought just give him a week or two and say, oh, I come back in, but I think Coxie's going okay, but he's going okay. Coxie's going okay, but he's not setting the world on fire either. So hopefully Trav comes in and kicks 5 tomorrow and just sticks it up.
Would you rather be kicking a Trav or Coxie?
Trav.
What happens after football?
What happens after footy? I'll enjoy myself. If my foot holds up, I'll definitely play some local footy. Yeah, it's something that when you're playing AFL, you don't really, you enjoy it, but you don't really have time to enjoy your actual footy because you're running around and, like Thursday, I don't know what I usually do, but I have beers on a Thursday night after training. Not that I'll be training on a Thursday night when I play. I'll be some prerequisites in my contract, but just like stuff like actually playing footy for what you're meant to play footy for, like why I played when I was 10 years old, because I love the game, and that's why people play footy. When you get to our level, you play footy because it's a business, and you got to win, and it's all about, and it is obviously about winning and losing there, but it's $1 billion business about generating revenue, and winning and selling memberships. Now where go back to a local footy club, and winning and losing is important, but just going back and playing for why I wanted to play footy in the first place, to play with your mates, have a kick, and if you lose, well you lose, you're not going to sit through a review on a Monday for 2 hours and get your ass kicked, and then go down to the beach because someone drank on a Saturday night or missed the rehab the next day and stuff like that. So I'll definitely play it. In other things, the media a little bit. I'm starting to do a little bit more stuff with Triple M, so maybe that if I like that. Footy show, I'm contracted with Footy Show, so maybe them if they want to keep me on. I've also got the nightclub, the Burn Down, which will be getting rebuilt. My clothing label, the tattoo shop, so hopefully they expand. Got a couple other things that I'm working on now, but so I don't have a set job. I know I'm not silly enough to think that the money I've made playing AFL, I can just put my feet up and just retire. So I know I'm going to have to work somewhere. It's just I don't know what yet.
Maybe 1 or 2 final questions, yes, mate.
Jackson Ramsey, so you seem like a player, and do you seriously get stuck in by Croft? Jackson was probably just finding his feet this year too. When he first came to the club, I didn't know much. Well, I didn't know much about him, so I never met him. But I looked at him and I thought he can't kick. I don't know how. I just didn't think he was any good, to be honest. I was like, he's not going to last. But he's worked harder than just about anyone on the list to make himself a bloody good player. Well, he's not a star yet, but he really earned his spot. He worked for it, and he was one of our first pick defenders. He locked down a small forward every week, and his kicking improved so much. So he would have been playing every week this year, but unfortunately he injured his ACL, which is a shame. But he's one of the hardest workers at the club. I've no doubt he'll get back and have a very good career in the AFL. As for him being stooged by old woman Croft, yes, he was. He had no idea. He's an idiot. He was very, very gullible, that kid. I obviously knew that Croft was Croft, so I was like, this looks so obvious, but that's because I already knew. But yeah, mate, he obviously, I don't know if you watched it on Thursday night, but yeah, everything was dead set. He didn't know till we actually had to tell him when Croft was jumping around on couches and that. He whispered to me, she's off her tits, because he thought all the pills that she'd taken and made her jump up and that, and I was like, so it was pretty funny, yeah. So yeah, he got sucked in, don't worry about that.
What's Sammy like outside the show?
Yeah, Sam Newman.
no doubt without him the footy show wouldn't be on or would be nowhere near what it is. He's a genius. Outside of the footy show, he's pretty much exactly the same. Like, he doesn't give a hoot about what people think about him. Like, he's extremely generous with his money now to his friends. He looks after his mates who have fallen on hard times now and helps them out. He's extremely witty and clever. And he's 70. Like, he's in amazing shape for 70. Yeah, I get along really well with him. We have some kind of weird chemistry together when we do shit. But I really like Sam. I don't know a bad word to say about him. People either love him or hate him. They tune into the footy show and they say, "What's this dickhead going to say next?" or to laugh at him. And, mate, he holds the footy show together. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, he's great. Yeah. Yes, I do.
I've maybe got time for one more. Yeah, one final question.
My hardest opponent, Caroline Wilson.
She rides you very hard.
Yeah, she's a great bloke. She's awesome. She must have knocked her back one night. That's why she hates me. My hardest opponent was probably, I've played on all the guns like Judd, Ablett, Goods, all these kind of guys, and obviously Ablett and Judd are probably the two best midfielders who ever played. But when you play on them, you're allowed to get the ball yourself. You have to be pretty wary of them. But guys just locked down. Probably Cameron Ling was probably the best tag that played on me, and that was probably just because he was very strong, very disciplined, and good at his job. But Geelong was so well structured. He was really fit, strong, and could push your body around in stoppages. But the one thing I had on Ling was I was a lot quicker than him. So every time I'd break into some space, he could sort of watch the ball go, and he knew I was going to be on the third or fourth link. Someone like Corey Enright or something would come up and man me up until Link would get back to me. So they were just really well structured, and that's why they were so successful in those 6 years, whatever it was. So I'd say Cameron Ling was the hardest opponent, and he beat me in the grand final, which is great. But he was probably the hardest opponent. I would say that.
Might just take one final one if someone's got one final question. Yes, mate.
Yeah, Swanee, you epitomise Collingwood in the way you play, the hard style that we all like. It's another question. I'm going to bring up Clokey again because it's obviously been on our minds. Earlier in the season, when before he'd been dropped, you saw players were sort of struggling to kick to him, from the midfield because they didn't want to give it to him because they knew he wasn't confident. What do you do in that situation when a forward's down on confidence, but you're trying to get it to the mids are trying to get it to the forwards to kick a goal, but that the forwards down on confidence? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, it wasn't when you, as a mid, when you're running with the ball and you're looking into the pointy end of the ground, to be honest, you don't have time to think for Trav. He's struggling a bit, so I'm not going to kick it to him. It's just Trav was so heavily manned up. Trav would have, whoever we're playing, every side plays with enough behind the ball these days, but they would play two blokes on Trav or have a guy sitting off probably our least dangerous forward, and so every time you look up there'd be two guys on Trav or one, and you could see one sagging off ready to come over the third man up and kill it. So that's when you coming out of the middle or running down the wing, you'd have to look up and Trav would lead to the pocket or put his hand up to kick it in the air, and there'd be two blokes on him, so he'd be like, well, I can't go there because they're going to get punched out of bounds or they're going to take a mock and go back the other way. So that was probably kind of more to the point, but we never lost confidence in him. It's like, there's actually, you got half a second to think when you've got the ball, but you've got three blokes chasing you down. You don't have time to think, well, Trav's struggling, Darcy's not going well. If it was like that, we wouldn't kick to anyone up forward. We'd have to turn around and kick it backwards. So, the boys have got tremendous belief in Trav, and I really hope he plays well tomorrow. The weather ain't going to be great for him, I don't think. It's not going to be great for key forwards, but hopefully he can take a couple of nice contested mark, kick a couple of goals and shut a few people up.
If he gets three, that'd be good.
I hope so. The worst thing, answering questions from you.
Put your hands together, Dane Swan! Just a couple of things before we finished, Dane's happy to take some photos and sign some stuff, so we're just going to do a couple of things. We're just going to draw the raffle. First prize, blue ticket, A08. Number 8. Right, they're in envelopes, guys, so you don't open the envelopes. Blue ticket, A08, first prize, which is, what is it, Jace? Roxy merchandise, blue ticket, A08. Second prize is a red ticket. And second prize is what, Jace? Bottle of turkey. Bottle of wild, well, that's a good one to win. Red ticket, A82.
Got your vid ready just in case. 3 questions in the Q&A.
Blue ticket A08, first prize. Red ticket A82, second prize. Third prize, Jace?
And individually.
Yes.
He has one.
Third prize, big card from the footy club. Yes. Blue ticket.
On both sides, yeah.
A71. Bingo. So that's going to be well spent. Fourth prize, Jace. Is it 1 box or 2 boxes? 20 can box there. Fourth prize is a green ticket. Green, few ears pricked up there. What number do you want? A08. A08, so we've got to go back now, so we haven't got a first prize with her, have we? Alright, so we'll do first prize now again. Alright, first prize. Oh, how's this? Had to happen, didn't it? First prize, A36. Yeah! Got no, wait. Right, you got to yell out, mate. Alright, that's right. So what do you get? Do you get We've got one to go. 2 tickets to the Roxy Buffet.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get one.
Wait for this one. Green ticket. A86. A lot of people want their food out here. A86 green ticket. Got a winner? Got a winner. Well done. Well done. Can I just get the committee and the coaches up? We just want to get sorry, the captains up. Want to get a photo. Now, photographer ready? Yeah. Get the committee and the captains up, yeah? So we get that silent auction, get over there and make a pin before I pull it up.
Yep.
No, I'm just telling him that you're going to go with a photo.
Oh, beautiful. Better roll that film.
I heard you blokes to the front, please. Alright guys, a couple of shots, here we go, heads up. Over there guys. One more. Number 7. Only marks. Thanks guys.
Michael, do you want to come and get a photo, buddy?
Yeah.
Right. Come over here, bud.
How you going, Swanee?
Very well, thanks. How are
Been
you?
dying to meet you, mate.
Right, guys. Hold it right there. Here we go. Thank you very much.
Well, buddy.
Hang on, Mickey.
Michelle Pan, you want to come get a photo? Good.
Star Swanee.
And anyone that won an item that had a photo with it, come and grab it now. Don't save it up, but to get a photo, come and grab it now. Quick first, with the bits.
Can we just sit down for a minute? Okay, there was eye contact. Oh my god.
Did you want me to get him to take it with our phone? Get him to take it with our phone as well?
We're going to ask for another photo.
If you want a photo or something signed, just come and line up. Just do it nice and orderly.
Oh, I should have brought my pen and paper. I should have brought my pen and paper out.
I took one of Mickey and Dane. So you got one. Oh, you got one. You got one.
Yeah.
I'm getting to sign
Can't believe I met Dane Swan.
That's some good questions too.
He does,
It's some good questions.
Yeah,
with his passion.
they just.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm a good quality person myself.
I love the
You got
game.
more tattoos than Dane Swan. They're great. They're
Well,
great too.
seriously, there's nothing more better than this fucking game. Seriously.
Yeah. But I mean, you asked some good questions.
Yeah.
They were good. I agree. I think you had a few more too. Hey,
You could have kept going.
you would have hogged the whole floor.
Yeah.
Well done, my friend.
Thanks, mate.
Well done. I mean, we've got a bit of a start there, but that'll go wrong.
You're getting there. That's what I forgot to tell you. That Beans told me. Dane owns Renegade Tattoo.
Yeah.
See, that's why he gets it for free.
I didn't know that because he's like, he actually owns his own one now. And I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, I knew that.
And I'm like, Renegade? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, ah.
I knew he owned
I
Renegade.
didn't know that.
So awesome, guys. 1 minute if you want to get over there and do that. Your money for the club. Just get your items done quickly. Dane's happy to sign them for you. Anyone wants to pay for the auction items, just come and see me. I've got a list over here where the signed auction items are. Thank you.
Mickey, you want me to get this thing signed for you?
Yeah, could you?
Better to get him to sign that.
The cardboard's probably better.
But we can't really. Oh, cool. Yeah.
Just over that.
Over that. What's on the front? Yeah. I'll try and get him over that. Yeah.
What are you going to get signed?
So what was I thinking? He's really good. Really good. I don't read the songs there. So just the way this
Hey, can we quickly jump in and do the last half?
I should get one signed. We should get one signed as well. Three. I don't want to leave Mickey out by himself.
Get back to work.
Did it work? What did you get him to sign?
The thing that says the Roxburgh Park presents a night with Dane Swan.
Oh, did it actually?
The actual thing.
Oh, did it work?
Yeah, I borrowed someone's permo.
Ah.
They did Dane Swan and he wrote number 36 on it.
Oh, wow.
It's only little, but
Yeah.
it's got his photo on it and you can frame it.
Yeah, I'm going to frame it. Can't believe I met him and asked 3 questions in the Q&A panel. I think I asked the most.
You did. And you asked the best.
I always wanted to ask him about 2010. I wonder if I can get a glass of water before we go. Ah, thanks, would you? He spoke well, Swanee.
He did. He's right there in front of you.
Yeah. Did bloody well tonight, Swanee. Yeah.
You're a legend.
You're a star, Swanee. You're Collingwood through and through, mate.
Could all those people that bought things please come and see me and fix it up, please? There's a few that we haven't seen, just standing in the corner over here. Thank you.
Part with your hundreds of bucks. God, it's 10 o'clock.
Yep. Tell him it's a fucking privilege to meet you, Swanee.
Yeah. It's a privilege to meet you, Swanee.
When you don't use it anymore. Ah, good deal.
Probably didn't hear it, I don't think.
I don't think he did.
I'll try one more. Go the pie, Swanee!